My dad used to say, when you get knocked down, there's only one thing to do. Get up! Get up! And folks, when you get up, make sure the same thing doesn't knock you down again.
And you can tell it's almost election day because Vice President Biden is quoting family members in stories that don't entirely make sense.
No, but we also say we might have gotten knocked down, but we are back up and we are ready to do a top line. It starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABC News Top Line. I'm Rick Klein.
And I'm Amy Walter.
Every day at noon Eastern, we're right here bringing you the latest in politics. Today we are live on location in the Vote 2010 Lounge.
But we do not have the couch today. We
don't
were
have
told
a
couch may be coming tomorrow,
No couch.
as well as cocktails.
No couch, no mugs, no Slurpees, no cocktails.
No.
We're doing our best though to bring you the best in politics.
That's
what do you
right.
know?
Well, first we're going to start with my top line. Keep the change. That's right. We have another change election looking like it's shaping up here, but the shoe's on the other foot. This time, voters who want a new direction now support the Republican candidate. The new ABC News Washington Post poll came out on Sunday. Republicans, for those who say they want change in the House, 57% picked Republicans, 36% picked the Democrat. 2 years ago, people who said they wanted change picked Republican by 8% to 82%. Or Obama. So
that's called a landslide,
that is
I think, in official parlance. What's amazing here is that President Obama was the candidate of change. He is no longer. That is gone. Democrats have lost the trust of the American voter when it comes to change. And this, once again, voters are saying they want change. They just want something different.
So if we have divided government in 2012, who then becomes the change candidate?
Yes, Sarah Palin. I think that's the answer to almost every question we ask. Next up today, Senate stakes. With just about everyone conceding that the House is all but gone, attention is turning to the Senate, where Republicans still have a long shot, although it is a long shot chance of taking over control. They would need to win 10 of the competitive 12 seats out there. And Amy, the tone is going to be set early in the night because we'll have Pennsylvania and West Virginia, Connecticut as well. And if Democrats win 1, 2, or all 3 of those, that it's going to make it very difficult for Republicans. If Republicans hold those seats, then you still have an argument for a potential to get to 10.
That's exactly right. Pennsylvania becoming the linchpin here. If Democrats win there, it's all over. If not, then we are going to go late into the night. I still am counting on Washington State to deliver the final number. All right, we move on to, yes, we can make up words here on Top Line. Gubernatorial. I think I got that out correctly. We know that some of the races with the biggest implications are not just going to be in the House and the Senate. They're actually governor's races. Remember, everybody, we have a redistricting year coming up. Big states like Ohio, Florida, Texas, going to be gaining or losing some seats. We also know they have big consequences for 2012 in terms of the ability to deliver votes for some of those favorite candidates and a breeding ground for potential presidential candidates.
That's right. And Democrats, who of course are going to have a very tough night of the congressional races. Same goes for the governor's contest, but there's 2 in particular, Ohio and Florida. The Democrats are in play in both of those places. If Democrats are able to win those 2 states, always critical in presidential years, it'll be a much different storyline to tell, at least a bright spot for Democrats on a very tough night.
But let's know they're in very, very close races in both of those.
That's exactly right. And finally today, corrupt bastards. That is quoting our friend Sarah Palin. That was her term for some members of the media up in Alaska. She is taking it swinging at the wire. Take a look at what she said yesterday on Fox News Sunday.
Those are corrupt bastards, Chris. That's what is wrong with the media today when they have their chosen one, and 9 times out of 10, heck, 10 times out of 10 in the liberal media, it's going to be the liberal is the chosen one.
And she's taking one step further. She's taking on Politico.
Yes. She told them to man up.
Man up. Right. Man up, indeed.
So
that's
man
one of the
up to Jim Vandehay and Mike Allen for their crap. Reporting.
Good friends of the program, regardless. We begin today's discussion down in Washington, where we all live, but where our guests are today, although we're in New York. Doug Heye is the communications director for the Republican National Committee, joining us from our set and Top Line Don't Steal Anything. And Brad Woodhouse is the communications director for the Democratic National Committee. He's at DNC headquarters. And Brad, I want to start with you because we're hearing all kinds of superlatives, tsunamis and waves and you name it, earthquakes. How bad a night is this going to be for Democrats?
Well, look, I think it's great. Just go ahead and set those expectations however however you want. But I tell you the truth, we feel really good based on what we're seeing in the early vote. You know, if there was going to be a tsunami, if there was this huge enthusiasm gap, why is it not borne out in the early vote? In many states, we're winning with sporadic and new voters, and we're running even or ahead in a bunch of other states with the actual votes D to R. So, we'll see what happens on election night, but we are by no means throwing in the towel on this election. In fact, we think we can surprise some people.
So Brad, are you suggesting then that there are going to be a lot of pundits with egg on their face on Wednesday morning?
Well, Amy, I'll tell you this. If I had $1 for every time a pundit was wrong on a race, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you folks right now. Look, I think, the generic in your poll, we've closed by almost 10 points over the past several weeks. So, we think things have tightened. And look, the conversation is a lot different than it was 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, folks were saying, you're going to lose the Senate, you're going to lose all the major governorships, you're going to lose the House. And we have made a lot of progress in the Senate, we've made progress in the governorships, and we think that we're making progress on the House side too.
And Doug, what do you make of the expectations game? People are expecting such great things from Republicans. What, to your mind, is a successful night? Do you need to win the Senate? Do you need to win the House?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me. This is an empty studio. I feel like I'm a bit at the Obama rally in Cleveland with all these empty seats here.
Yeah.
But
how many rallies have you had, Doug?
Well, we've had a lot of rallies. We've had a Fire Pelosi bus that's gone to 48 states, sending that message because voters are tired of what they're seeing from Washington, Brad. They want to fire Nancy Pelosi. They want to hire Harry Reid.
7 people came out to it in Denver.
Oh,
7.
Hey, let's give Doug a chance here. Go ahead.
Let me tell you. I want to say we agree with Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine today said that Obama realizes that he has to make corrections and adjustments. Sounds a bit like repeal and replace to me, but we're glad they're finally recognizing it. The voters certainly want to make adjustments and corrections, and whatever number people want to pick out and speculate, the bigger the better for some pundits. I'd agree with Brad. But we're optimistic because we've seen in our early voting, we can talk about the state of Florida where we're clobbering the DNC that clobbered us in 2008 in early voting. We think we're in a good position, to use a sports term. We got the ball. It's the end of the game. We want to score the basket.
Hey, Doug, speaking of earlier conversations, I know that both of your bosses were on Good Morning America, and Michael Steele said that Republicans, if they do take control of Congress, there are going to be very high expectations for them. If they don't live up to those expectations, voters may have their say 2 years later and ostensibly knock them out. But let's talk about what do you think those expectations are? Do you think that voters are expecting to have Republicans repeal the health care law?
Well, they certainly expect Republicans to make efforts to do that. Look, voters want the same thing, essentially, that they wanted 2 years ago. When voters voted for what they believed was real hope and real change, and instead got binge spending, record deficits, and a tone-deaf government that shut out Republicans of health care meetings, like the old Charlie Rich song, Behind Closed Doors. That's where those health care meetings were held.
That's just not true.
Brad, it is true.
That's just not true.
It absolutely is true. Nancy Pelosi locked the door.
Max Baucus had meetings ad nauseum with Republicans, Doug. I mean, you're just not going to sit here a day before the election and say things that aren't true.
But Brad,
what I'll say, Brad, is that John Boehner personally handed the economic proposal to the president, and even though the president held that proposal in his hand, still said that the Republican Party offered no ideas. And
Brad,
if Republicans introduce a bill and Democrats ignore it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Brad, let me jump in. Brad, I want to ask, because regardless of what happens tomorrow night, we know that Democrats are going to lose seats in the House. They're going to lose seats in the Senate, no doubt about that. What is the message going forward? What do Democrats need to do differently to get trust back with the American voters?
Well, look, I'll tell you, Rick, I think, first of all, we have always conceded that this is going to be that this stands to be a tough election historically.
So what do you do about it?
That's not true. That's not true. Stu Rothenberg said.
Hold on, Doug.
Stu Rothenberg said on
hold on, Doug. I want this from Brad. What do we do differently?
I'll tell you what I think we need to do. We need to continue to deliver for the American people, and we think we have a record of accomplishment. We need to implement the health care bill. We need to continue to work on economic recovery. And this administration and Democrats on the Hill are going to continue to be about jobs. The last 6 months of job growth. You take a look at that versus the last 6 months of the Bush administration, there's no comparison. So we need to continue to deliver results for the American people. But the Republicans will have some responsibility, regardless of the outcome, to work with us to govern. They've spent 2 years playing politics. They'll have to govern after this election.
Well, and Brad, your boss then also on Good Morning America today saying that he is somewhat disappointed about the fact that Democrats didn't do enough to tout their accomplishments in this election. Do you think that they should have been running ads then saying that the health care bill was a great idea and spent more time talking about that?
Well, look, that's been our perspective the whole time, is that if you take tough votes, if you feel like the votes are right, you should be proud of what you.
You think you would have won
voted
seats
for.
if you had done that? You'd be in a better position today.
Well, look, I don't know, Amy. I mean, the truth of the matter is that we continue to have tough problems in the economy. We had two wave elections.
Right.
We were gonna have some retrenchment no matter what happened. So I'm not sure what we could have done to change the dynamics of the election. But you know what? One thing that we have done well is we have a ground game that is turning people out.
All right.
We're winning an early vote. And I think we're going to surprise people.
All right, guys,
tomorrow.
we got to wrap it up. But one final last question. Doug Hyde, do you want Tim Kaine to have another chairman as DNC?
You know, if that's what the chairman wants for the Democrats, that's fine. You know, we don't really care who their chairman is. We care about who the candidate is, and we hope we're going to have big elections because we've actually reached record turnout numbers at the RNC in 2010, 10 million more.
And Brad at the DNC, do you want to see Michael Steele with another term?
I would like nothing more than to see Michael Steele reelected as chairman of the Republican National Committee.
All right. We're on the record. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Doug Hyde, Brad Woodhouse,
Anytime.
Dueling Communications Directors. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.